so me and Conrad having conversations, and most people know the we'll call it the WWF, WCW, Double J stories and all that. But he's like, he said, I don't think people, and we'll call them the Memphis stories. And I said, yeah, the Memphis stories, the AAA stories. There's some real, going back in time, I didn't really connect that there'd be an audience for that. But when you think about Sean and Marty and the Rockers coming through, Nasty Boys, just the different talent that has come through Memphis.
Undertaker.
Plus, you were there in the hottest period in history, bro, the Attitude Era.
Yeah. So it's gonna be fun to chat about. It really is.
One thing about that I think is great is that Jeff hasn't done too many shoot interviews, so you haven't gone into that reservoir of stories and told them or maybe told them on multiple platforms. So everything that you're going to say with Conrad is pretty much new stories and new content for all the listeners.
Yeah, the preposterous story that I held Vince up. And I've said the one-liner a couple of times. Was the 38 or 45? I mean, when you really think about just the terminology, hey, you held up Vince McMahon. Oh, really? Just think about that. Right. I mean, he ain't going to pay nobody.
Bro,
Jeff is like, and hold him up like, hey, Vince, you're going to pay me this.
Dude, you've been involved in so many.
That's the first episode.
You hear all these guys tell stories, and your name's thrown in there a lot because there's a lot of big stories, and your name's in them. And you hear like, hey, I want to raise my hand. Go, could give my take on this, please? Which is basically what it is, right?
That's it. Hey, were both you guys at Bash at the Beach?
Yeah, I was there. I wrestled Dean Malenko that night. I think I got best. I think Meltzer the first time in the Meltzer stars.
Which Bash at the Beach?
He's talking about 2000 with Hogan.
Oh,
right?
2000. Damn.
Yeah, my bad. The Hulk Hogan, that whole.
I was there, but I knew nothing. I knew nothing was going on.
I was there. Is that the one where Booker T won the championship?
Yes. Yeah. So that we're going to tell that story at some point, but that's one that I was advised from my attorney who reached out to. I mean, there was litigation with Brad Siegel and Hogan, and I mean, just that whole mess. And my attorney said, best thing for you to do is literally forget that night happened. Don't talk about it. There's litigation. And so I was asked over and over and over for about 3 or 4 years, will you talk about it? And so I just had a standard answer. I'm not going there. Booker won that night, and I was super happy for him. But the story of that, I don't even know if you guys know some of that story.
Well, I will say, I will. Let me just say this, Jeff. This was kind of weird because when I was backstage, Vince Russo came up to me and he was like, he goes, what you're going to see today, I had to do, right? And I was like, all right. And then I saw it. You know what I'm saying? But that's all he told me. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, to pull the curtain back, so to speak, and now all this time, I mean, the conversations that me and Hulk had with Johnny Ace and John Laurinaitis in the room going over move by move of a match that was going to go 25 minutes. I mean, that story alone is like, that's interesting. It'll surprise even.
Yeah, well, I want to hear the story. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely going to check that story out. Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's like you said, it's a story that hasn't been told, so it's interesting. It's fresh. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it will be.
Yo,
people like. I was going to say, people like the intricate details sometimes. Yeah, because even like the fans, when they call in or we have mailbag questions on our show, right? And they'll write in about microscopic details like, hey, do you remember this match when this guy did this and stuff? And they're like, dude, we don't remember things like that. But like, there's an audience for people 100%. That want to know the details of like the things that happen like underneath what we've heard so far.
It's a big audience too, Di.
Bro, our mailbag yesterday, the guy actually asked me if I remember a match. Listen to this, from like 25 years ago where I wrestled Joe Gomez, and I was like, no, I don't. It ain't like we had a feud.
No.
Yeah, but they weren't. Yeah, but I don't remember. Yeah.
Okay, there's a guy from the UK that was interviewing me to talk about my world and the launch and all that. He remembers a series of matches of me and Pat Tanaka. Me and Billy Travis versus Pat Tanaka and Paul Diamond before they were Bad Company. He's got a copy of it.
Wow. Bro,
what wants to go over and move the roof?
Jeff,